Hey, Cowboys Nation. The offseason is officially here, and the air around Dallas is thick with questions, concerns, and a fair amount of frustration, especially when it comes to the state of the defense. For months, fans, analysts, and insiders alike have been watching the Cowboys struggle on the defensive side of the ball, and it's hard to sugarcoat the situation. We've all seen the numbers, the breakdowns, and the plays that just make you shake your head in disbelief. This is not just a bad stretch or a few unfortunate games. This is a systemic issue that has persisted over the season and now demands attention. The central figure in all this scrutiny has, of course, been defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus. Every time the Cowboys have stepped onto the field, the defensive performances have left something to be desired. And for anyone paying attention, it's clear that the issues are deeper than a single missed tackle or blown coverage. We're talking about strategy, execution, and preparation at a level that is simply not meeting the standards that the Dallas Cowboys franchise has always aimed for. Ownership has been vocal about dissatisfaction with the defense all season, and while statements have been cautious, the subtext has been obvious. Something has to change. The problem is there seems to be an almost deliberate dragging of the process when it comes to making those decisions. Fans want clarity, urgency, and decisive action. And yet here we are, hearing about 10 to 12-day timelines, meetings, and evaluations, as if the team's poor defensive record can somehow be untangled through bureaucracy rather than action. Let's be honest, this is not a situation that calls for a slow, methodical process. This is a situation that calls for immediate accountability. You do not allow a defense to give up over 30 points a game and still keep the same coordinator in charge, especially when the defensive play has been among the worst in the entire league across every measurable metric. This isn't opinion. This is reality. If you go back and examine expected points added per play, points allowed, yards surrendered, and situational failures, you're looking at one of the historically worst defenses in franchise history. That is not hyperbole. That is fact. For fans who have been patient, supportive, and hopeful, watching the team underperform so dramatically is more than just disappointing. It's infuriating. And yet, despite all the evidence, there's a hesitancy, a reluctance to make the call that the situation so clearly demands. The Cowboys are not in the business of mediocrity, and yet by dragging out decisions on the coaching staff, particularly on the defensive side, it feels as though they are prioritizing process over performance. Now, it's important to understand that evaluating a coach is never just a matter of looking at wins and losses. Context matters. Personnel decisions, injuries, matchups, and other factors all contribute. But in this particular case, context cannot mask the stark reality. The defense has consistently underperformed, and the responsibility for that falls squarely on the coaching staff. And while some voices may argue that this is a broader organizational issue, that does not absolve leadership from making a tough but necessary decision. The truth is, the Cowboys have the resources, the talent, and the legacy to demand better. The team has a roster filled with players capable of executing at a high level, yet the system in which they operate has failed them repeatedly. When you allow an entire season to unfold with such glaring deficiencies, fans are left questioning the competence of those in charge. This isn't about loyalty or comfort. It's about accountability and a willingness to make hard choices. Defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus has had his chance, and the results speak for themselves. Allowing a team to surrender more than 30 points a game is not a minor failing. It is a systemic breakdown that cannot be ignored. It is not a question of if change is needed, but when it will finally happen. And yet, here we are, hearing about multi-day processes, player interviews, and internal meetings, as if the answer is not already staring the organization in the face. It raises serious questions. Is this a case of thorough evaluation, or is it simply a prolonging of the inevitable for the sake of appearances? Fans deserve transparency, but more than that, they deserve a defense that performs at the level expected of a franchise with Super Bowl aspirations. There is no room for hesitation when the evidence is this clear. Teams around the league make swift, decisive moves when the stakes are this high, and it is puzzling why the Cowboys have not followed suit. We have seen other organizations move within hours to correct course, and it begs the question, why can't the Cowboys? Is there an overemphasis on process at the expense of progress? Is there a fear of making the tough call? Whatever the reasoning, the consequence is undeniable. The defense continues to struggle, and the clock is ticking. Ownership has made statements about listening to players, gathering input, and ensuring that every perspective is considered. And while this is admirable in theory, the practical outcome is that the defensive unit remains in limbo, its future uncertain, and its performance stagnant. For the players on the field, this cannot be ideal. Leadership indecision trickles down and impacts preparation, confidence, and execution. Meanwhile, the fan base is left in a limbo of frustration, hoping that the organization will finally align actions with reality. This is a team with a proud history, a fan base that expects excellence, and resources that few organizations can match. Yet when the defense ranks at the very bottom, surrendering points in yardage at an alarming rate, the message being sent is muddled. It is not just about a single coach. It is about setting a standard, about demonstrating that underperformance will not be tolerated. To do that, tough decisions must be made swiftly and decisively. There is no benefit in delaying the inevitable when the evidence is clear. Fans are watching, analysts are watching, and players are certainly aware of the organizational indecision. The Cowboys have a chance to reset, to send a clear message, and to lay the groundwork for a defense that can compete at a championship level. But it requires action. It requires holding leadership accountable, starting with the coordinator responsible for the side of the ball that has failed the team most conspicuously. Eberflus' tenure has been marked by challenges, but it is also marked by results, or the lack thereof. And in football, results matter above all else. Allowing a defense to continue underperforming under the same leadership is not just risky, it is unacceptable. Fans want to see a proactive approach, a front office willing to make hard calls, and a coaching staff that earns its position through performance. The Cowboys have the talent to rebuild, to recalibrate, and to compete at the highest level, but that starts with recognizing failures and acting decisively. There is a growing consensus that the time for deliberation has passed. The evidence is overwhelming. The defense has been historically poor, and the fans, the players, and the organization itself deserve clarity. The discussion of process and interviews is important, but it cannot overshadow the need for action. The clock is ticking, and the offseason offers the perfect window to correct course, but only if decisions are made promptly. This is a franchise that has never been content with mediocrity, and history will not forgive hesitation when opportunity for improvement is clear. Now, the conversation shifts from speculation to expectation. Fans are no longer asking if changes should happen. They are asking when. There is no debate over the necessity of change, only over the timing and decisiveness of action. The narrative is clear. The defense is broken. The coordinator has underperformed, and the organization must act. Any further delay risks not only fan discontent, but also the credibility of leadership in the eyes of players and the wider football community. Every analyst, every stat, and every glaring failure on the field points to one simple conclusion. The Cowboys cannot continue down this path without serious consequences. The question now is not if action will be taken, but whether it will be taken with the urgency and decisiveness that the situation demands. Dallas fans have endured disappointments before, but they also know when the franchise acts decisively, it can transform outcomes. The path forward is clear, and the first step must be accountability for those most responsible for the defensive shortcomings. There is no room for excuses, and there is no benefit to dragging out decisions. History has shown that franchises that hesitate in moments of clear need often pay dearly. The Cowboys have the opportunity to make a statement, to reset expectations, and to signal that failure on this level is unacceptable. That starts with decisive action on the coaching staff and a commitment to correcting course without delay. This is the reality of professional football. Accountability is immediate, and results matter above all else. The fans, the players, and the organization all deserve leadership that acts in alignment with this reality, not processes that obscure the urgency of the situation. The stage is set, the evidence is undeniable, and the need for action is pressing. The future of the defense, and indeed the credibility of the franchise in this area, depends on what happens in the coming days. There is no time for hesitation, and there is no substitute for decisive, informed, and bold action. As the Cowboys move deeper into the offseason, the intensity around the defensive coordinator situation continues to mount. Fans are no longer just observing. They're analyzing, debating, and voicing opinions across every corner of social media, podcasts, and sports forums. The collective frustration stems not only from a historically poor defensive performance, but also from the perception that the organization has yet to act with the urgency this crisis demands. Every stat, every blown coverage, every big play allowed has been scrutinized, dissected, and replayed endlessly, and the message has been consistent. This is a defense that cannot continue on its current trajectory. While the leadership insists on going through the process, the reality is that the season's results have already written the verdict. Over 30 points per game allowed is not a marginal failure. It is a glaring indictment of coaching, strategy, and preparation. It is not simply a bad week or unlucky circumstance. It is a systemic breakdown that requires accountability at the highest level. The players who have been asked to execute under flawed systems can only do so much, and even the most talented roster will struggle when schemes, adjustments, and play calling are consistently ineffective. There is a tangible sense of urgency in the air, not just among fans but within the broader football community. Analysts and insiders alike are watching the Cowboys closely, comparing the pace of action to other franchises who have demonstrated the ability to make rapid, decisive changes. The contrast is stark. While other teams have moved quickly to correct course, firing coordinators or even front office personnel within hours of recognizing systemic problems, Dallas appears to be laboring under an unnecessarily prolonged timeline. This discrepancy only fuels frustration and speculation. Why is the team taking 10 to 12 days for a decision that seems obvious to everyone paying attention? The explanations about process, interviews, and evaluations carry weight in theory, but when the evidence is overwhelming, it can come across as a delay tactic rather than a thorough analysis. Fans want clarity, but clarity is not just about announcements. It is about action. Every day that passes without a decisive move on the defensive staff is another day the fan base grows restless, wondering if the team prioritizes optics over performance. There is also a broader conversation about the philosophy of the franchise and the culture of accountability. The Cowboys are a team with a storied history, high expectations, and a passionate fan base that demands results. For years, the team has made coaching decisions with the understanding that performance and preparation matter most. Yet the handling of the defensive coordinator situation suggests a tension between maintaining appearances and addressing the realities on the field. Ownership has emphasized listening to players, gathering input, and carefully weighing decisions, which are important elements of leadership. However, these steps should not overshadow the fact that the evidence is clear. The defense has underperformed dramatically, and a change in leadership is essential. This is not speculation. This is objective assessment. Metrics, performance trends, and in-game results all point to the need for decisive action. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Whispers around the league have grown louder after indications that Shedeur Sanders may have taken a decisive step toward the Dallas Cowboys, accepting what sources describe as an irresistible proposal. While nothing has been officially confirmed, the mere possibility has already ignited debate among executives, scouts, and fans who see the move as both bold and strategically calculated. Sanders, long viewed as one of the most intriguing quarterback prospects of his generation, has built a reputation not only on his arm talent, but also on his composure under pressure and his command of the spotlight. Those qualities, according to insiders, align perfectly with what the Cowboys are believed to be seeking as they evaluate their long-term direction at the position. The organization has reportedly been monitoring Sanders closely, impressed by his growth, leadership traits, and commercial appeal. The speculation suggests that Dallas presented a vision extending beyond the field. The proposal is rumored to involve a carefully structured development plan, marketing opportunities befitting the Cowboys' global brand, and the chance to become the centerpiece of a franchise that thrives on star power. For Sanders, whose career has unfolded under constant attention, the idea of embracing football's most scrutinized market may have been less a risk and more a natural progression. Around the league, reactions are mixed. Some believe the Cowboys are positioning themselves for a seamless transition into a new era, betting on Sanders' confidence and adaptability. Others caution that expectations in Dallas can overwhelm even the most gifted players. Still, the rumor alone underscores how highly Sanders is valued and how aggressive the Cowboys may be willing to be to secure a potential franchise cornerstone. Until contracts are signed and announcements made, everything remains in the realm of speculation. Yet the narrative is already forming. A young quarterback, an iconic franchise, and a proposal so compelling that it could reshape futures on both sides. Whether reality ultimately matches the rumor, the possibility itself has ensured that Shedeur Sanders and the Cowboys remain at the center of the football conversation. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.